Welcome back to another episode of It's in the Details. As always, hit the buttons, tell a friend to tell a friend if you're enjoying the show. There's so much going on in the world. We don't really do politics up in here. We're thinking about the Ukrainians. You know what I mean? Keep fighting. Hopefully, the worst doesn't happen. You know, we addressed it. You know where we stand, man. Right? Okay. Now let's take your mind off of what's going on in the world. All right? Let's start here. Several months ago, I gave the people a multi-platform recommendation. I talked about a documentary called The Inventor. I think it was called Blood in Silicon Valley or something like that. It was about Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of school, dropped out of college, and became an entrepreneur. And she was trying to develop a way to do all sorts of blood testing with just the tiniest little prick of blood. And the people wanted to hear what the lady had to say. And she ended up getting a lot of money, billions. She was like, I think she was the first self-made billionaire, female billionaire in the United States. Okay. So they gave her all the money. She had the idea. They brought all the people in. They were hiring people left and right. Some of the people that knew science were saying, hey, you can't do that. That's not possible. You can't take a little prick of blood and test 900 different tests. You can't do it, right? The things happened. There was some whistleblowers saying the things that they're trying to do and they can't do it. And they had the machines. They made a contract with Walgreens. They were telling people we're working with the government. There were a couple, General Mattis, there were a couple people on the board and things in the military, but the military never actually used any of these products, even though they were telling people that the military was using these products, right? So we went through that whole thing. She got found out. The whole company got found out. They had to shut everything down. She ain't worth billions no more. And there was a court case. There was a podcast I told you guys about called The Dropout. They had a couple seasons, and then they had the season through the court case. I don't know if any of you guys watched this, or listened to it, but you should have watched the documentary, and then you should have been listening to the podcast, like I told you. It was riveting, right? So we did the court case, went through the court case. The court case, well, we'll talk about the court case a little bit later, but they had the court case, and now, upcoming, I think on the 3rd, March the 3rd, I believe, is a miniseries called The Dropout. I believe based on all the wonderful reporting they did at the Dropout podcast. There's a miniseries coming to Disney Plus. And y'all tell me how excited you think I am that this miniseries is here. I can't wait. Well, I will wait, because if Disney Plus has the nerve to drip, drop these episodes one by one, week after week, I'm not here for it. Call me in 6 weeks or 10 weeks, whenever the series is done, so I can watch as many per night as I want to. You hear me? But the miniseries is coming, and I'm very excited. I don't know how much of the court case is going to be involved, right? I don't know if that's really where the meat of the story is. But listening to the podcast, as they take you through the court case, we need at least 2 episodes, maybe 2.5 episodes of court. Okay? We really do. We need at least like a solid 90 minutes on the court case. Because, y'all, if you didn't pay attention, one, guilty. They found her guilty, right? There's no spoiler. This is news. If you didn't want to know that she was guilty, then you should have turned this off already, because it's over, right? And I was definitely going to tell you what happened. So guilty, number one. Sentencing has not happened yet. We don't know how long or how much. We don't know what's going to happen to her, but she could go to jail for a long time. All right? But the court case was was riveting, and I didn't even get to see it. You got the fans and the people. Are they fans? I'm not sure if they're fans. You got the spectators who were outside the court hoping to get a seat for the court case every day. COVID was going on, so we got masking situations, we got social distancing situations. If they do a court case, I'm kind of hoping they do not have everyone masked up. You know, like just suspend that for the show, because I really would like to see some of the facial reactions that the actors and actresses decide to give while the court case is going on. I told you the court case was interesting. There were some very interesting witnesses. Some witnesses in the venture capital space. The people with lots and lots of money. Some who lost some who did. You know what I mean? The jury was even interesting. They had to call up, I think it was 2 or 3 reserve jury members because people had to leave during the middle of the case. They had various different reasons. One lady said she's looking at Elizabeth Holmes in the defendant's box. She's looking at Elizabeth Holmes and she's thinking, my religion would make it uncomfortable for me to decide whether this woman is allowed to be free or jailed, right? And I heard that, and I'm not a very religious person. Maybe spiritual, but I'm not a very religious person. And I thought, even without religion, I would have discomfort sending a person to prison. If they murdered somebody, but you don't, I mean, I guess the evidence. I feel her, right? So she got off the jury. They had to put some other people out. Other things happened. There was a lot going on during this case. And I believe it went months. But it was good. And the people at the Dropout do a really good job. So I'm excited for this series. I hope they do it justice. Now, if you are aware of Elizabeth Holmes and the inventor and all of these things going on, then you've seen Elizabeth Holmes. And you have to be wondering, who is going to play Elizabeth Holmes? And they selected Amanda Seyfried. Now, physically, there will not be any prosthetics. I've seen some commercials. There will not be any prosthetics used, a la Bombshell. When they did the Bombshell movie about Fox News, and they had Charlize Theron playing, I think it was Gretchen. I think it was Gretchen. Charlize Theron was playing Megyn Kelly. She doesn't look anything like Megyn Kelly. They transformed Charlize Theron's face. Transformed it. And I don't believe any of it was CGI. It was all makeup and prosthetics. Margot Robbie was in that too. There was a lot of good people in that movie. But none of that for the Dropout. Now, Amanda Seyfried may or may not be your cup of tea aesthetically. She may or may not be. I don't know. I don't care, right? But I believe in Hollywood, she's known as a very beautiful actress. I don't know that everybody would feel that way necessarily about Elizabeth Holmes. I'm not saying any of these things myself. I'm just saying the general opinion of these two people. Can you imagine if you're Elizabeth Holmes? I mean, you got some bad stuff going on. Yeah, you might be going to jail, right? But you find out someone has decided Amanda Seyfried looks enough like you physically to play you in a movie. It's probably the eyes. The eyes, they both have very, very big, captivating eyes, right? But if you're Elizabeth Holmes, I think you're pretty happy about this decision. I think you have to be. One, she's very well known, very famous lady. Two, people think she's very beautiful. That's what a score for you, you know? What a score for you. I mean, I think about it myself, right? Now, if you're watching on YouTube, your boy's fine. I'm not delusional. We're not talking a 10 up in here, right? But I hold my own, right? But imagine someone said, we're going to need a stunt double. We're going to need a naked stunt double to play you in the movie, right? And they go, we're getting Michael B. Jordan. Now, I got to be honest with you. That's ridiculous. Your boy runs, he does lifting, he does some things, right? But if someone told me Michael B. Jordan was going to be playing my body double, I'm not doing anything else for the rest of my life. I'm gonna walk around. I'm just gonna walk around with a laptop or an iPad or what have you, with my face in a movie on Michael B. Jordan's body. That's what I'm gonna do. That's all I do from now on. I collect those checks and I show you my face on Michael B. Jordan's body, all the pecs and the 13 abs, all the things, right? The little riblets on the side, all of it. That's all you see from me now. I might even use it to Photoshop for the rest of this podcast. I might just body down Michael B. Jordan, and it won't even look good. It'll be clearly some terrible Photoshop, but this is what I would do for the rest of time, right? Elizabeth Holmes has Amanda Seyfried playing her in the movie. It's outrageous. It's outrageous, but good for her. March 3rd, The Dropout. Do the research, watch all the other things, then watch this. The Oscars released their Best Picture movies, their nominations. I remember when there were like 5 movies. There were 5 movies that were nominated for Best Picture. And I think over time, some people got mad that not enough movies were being included. And then they just expanded it. And I think there are 10 movies nominated for Best Picture now. Great. I'm glad all of these people and all the hard work they did are getting some sort of shine. Good for them, right? If you don't work in the business of reviewing movies, I think it's kind of hard to get through all of those movies with all of the other stuff that's available for us to watch. I am now slowly making my way through the movies I would bother wanting to see that are on that list. I watched Dune over the Christmas break. I don't know if it was already nominated for an Oscar at the time. I watched it, and it's on the list. I'm not really sure. I guess it's very beautiful. It's a very picturesque movie. Fine. It's on the list. Okay. I also watched Don't Look Up. We'll get to that another week. We'll talk about that another week. It's very timely, given what I talked about off the top with the world. Just such strife in the world. Fine. We'll get to that one later. What I did watch recently, though, and what we're going to talk about today, is The Power of the Dog. The Power of the Dog. The Power of the Dog, I found to be a very, very slow burn. And so slow that by the time you really get a good grasp on what the hell is going on in this movie, it's over. They make it plain with about 30 minutes left in the movie, and then the movie is over. Or that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like to me, at least. I was like, okay. okay, I see why we're watching. I see why you made it. I see why we're watching it. And oh, it's done. The credits are rolling. Okay. All right. So we're not gonna learn anything. No, that's okay. We learned everything. All right. Okay, we learned everything. All right. All right. I guess this is one of those movies you need to watch 3 or 4 times. I don't know if it's good enough that I'm gonna need to want to watch it 3 or 4 times. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch it a second time. Will that be in a year? I don't know. 3 years? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure when I need to get back to it. But I'll get back to it. I'll watch it again. Now, I'm rambling. Let me get into it. It's starring Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch, the best name in Hollywood. Okay? It's also starring Kirsten Dunst. It's starring Jesse Plemons, whom I love. Jesse Plemons, Friday Night Lights, the TV show, not the movie. The TV show, not the movie. If you go looking for Friday Night Lights, don't ever watch the movie. Watch the TV show. Okay? The TV show is fantastic. It's a football show, but it's not a football show. You know what I mean? It's a person, people. It's a family. It's a life. It's all of that stuff. And then there's some football attached to it. Okay, so if you haven't seen Friday Night Lights, the TV show yet, go watch it. Jesse Plemons is wonderful in it. A young, sort of athletic Jesse Plemons. I love him. He was also in the tail end of Breaking Bad. That also put him into the Breaking Bad movie that came out afterwards, El Camino. Loved him in all of it. He is also in so many other Irishmen, a bunch of other stuff. This is enough about me gushing about Jesse Plemons. I love him. He's great. Wonderful actor. It also stars a young actor named Cody Smith McPhee. Very, very good performance. I was actually talking to a friend about the movie, and the friend said Paul Dano's in that movie. Paul Dano, I remember him most from There Will Be Blood, but I've seen him in a bunch of other things. And she said that to me, and I go, I did not see Paul Dano anywhere in The Power of the Dog. And I don't know if I missed him. I don't know if someone had the guts to put Paul Dano on the cutting room floor, but I did not see him. But what I did say to her was, if this movie was made 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Paul Dano would have been playing the role that young Cody Smith McPhee played. Okay? That was tailor-made for him. It was a tailor-made role for Paul Dano, but we got a new up-and-coming Paul Dano, apparently. Fine. My lasting impression of this film is we spent a whole bunch of time just watching Benedict Cumberbatch. A whole bunch, right? That's how it felt to me. I don't know if it's accurate. Maybe I'll go back and watch it again and see if that's true. But that's what my initial feeling was. So much time spent with Benedict Cumberbatch. He plays Phil Burbank, a successful rancher in 1925. Now, I say successful. That's kind of how they're portraying him. How easy is it? How easy do you find it to tell whether or not someone is successful in a period piece from 1925? You know, like what can you... I didn't see a car, right? He got a house. He's got a bunch of land. He's got a ranch. He's got cow hides. He doesn't need to sell. He'd rather just burn them. You know what I mean? Like, he must have some money. But we spend so much time with this Phil Burbank. There's so much, and he's just surly and menacing and grumpy and mean and just all up in everybody's business. So much. This doesn't have very much to do, I don't think, with Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal of this character. I think it's the character. I think it's from the page, from the discussions they have when they're making the film. I looked at the screen and I said, hey man, just leave those people alone. You know, a bunch of times I said stuff like that. Or, hey, go to bed. Just go to bed. Why you walking around the house with your boots on in the middle of the night with the spurs jingling, jangling? You know? It's the middle of the night. Everybody's asleep. Everybody's asleep. It's 1925 on a ranch. Ain't no street lights. The moon probably went to bed too because it's late, you know? And this man is in his bed playing a banjo. Okay? Playing a banjo. Everybody asleep. And then he gets stirred awake by who knows what. I can't remember at the time. But he gets out of bed wearing his boots. You know them loud-ass cowboy boots? Who knows what? They were made out of wood or whatever back in the day, right? He got them loud-ass boots still on, crushing these wooden floors, and still got the spurs on in the middle of the night, trying to wake up everybody. Go to bed. You know, just go to bed. But anyway, he refused. He's Phil Burbank. He's doing what he's doing. He runs this ranch with his brother, George Burbank, Jesse Plemons. George is a portly, quiet, well-mannered man, right? It feels like they're brothers, right? Like they care about each other, but it feels like Phil is definitely the boss, right? That's what it feels like. He's pushing his brother around a little bit, right? And they also have this posse of workers. You should hear cult members. When I say posse of workers, really it feels like they're a cult, right? They look up to Phil like he is a god. You know, that's how they look at him. They don't listen to George. George may as well be some cow dung on the bottom of their cowboy boots, right? And when Phil speaks, they move. And that's how it goes. And I think they kind of garnered this level of respect for Phil because Phil had a mentor back in his day, taught him how to ride, taught him how to do all the things, right? And the mentor looked at this off in the distance mountain range. And he said, there was this thing on the mountain range. Can you see it? Right? And Phil saw it. Phil saw the thing on the mountain range. And they became intrinsically intertwined by both being able to see this thing on the mountain range. And he said this to his little cult members, and none of these fools can see the thing on the mountain range, right? So because he could see it and because that dude before them could see it, then he must be some sort of deity to be worshipped and followed around the plains. Okay, fine, right? Fine. But he spends so much time being a mean, surly, angry dude. It's hard to, you can't really get that association with him through the screen. That you don't want to embrace him, right? And as the story develops, I'm not gonna go full spoiler on you. As the story develops, some things happen where you go, okay, I guess if I watch this movie again, I will understand why the toxic masculinity is so strong in Phil Burbank, right? I'll understand it from the beginning. Because when you get to the end, you're like, okay, I get it. I get how we got there. But was it all necessary? You know, was it all necessary? I don't know. But this was 1925. It's interesting how it serves as a parable for many of the things going on in our society today. And I imagine that the wonderful filmmaker, I guess that's how she saw it. And that's why she told the story the way she did and told the story she wanted to tell. But wow. It was a ride. I don't know if it was a terribly enjoyable ride, but it was a ride. Now, if I could, let me share something I really enjoyed about the movie. Really unequivocally enjoyed about the movie. Jesse Plemons, Kirsten Dunst, they are together in real life. They got a couple babies, right? And they seem to be really in love. And in this film, we get to see them acting together, and not just acting together, falling in love with each other. Now, I believe they fell in love with each other well before filming this movie. Okay? I looked some stuff up. I could not find any signs to point that this was the picture where they fell in love, right? However, we get to watch their two characters fall in love on the screen. I'm not the whole romantic love story in film person, right? Or maybe I'm not for it the way it's portrayed typically. I did thoroughly enjoy all of the love stuff in Insecure. The ups and the downs and the people that really fell in love and the relationships that crumbled and got back to. I enjoyed all of it. I enjoyed the portrayal. But in The Power of the Dog, Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, wow. It was not mushy. It was not over the top. But there's a scene, and you'll see it, and you will not miss it. There's no way for you to miss it. They go up towards the mountain somewhere, and you get to see Kirsten Dunst looking off in the distance. And behind her is Jesse Plemons. And he is just staring at this woman. Just staring at her. She can't see him. He's just looking at her. And boy, if you can see love between two people, it happened in this movie during that scene. I was like, oh my God, this is romantic. Look at these two. Thank you for capturing it. This is wonderful. I really enjoyed that. There wasn't a lot of it. I'm going to say it's not that kind of movie. It's not that kind of love story where it's just all throughout the film. This film is about Phil Burbank primarily and the things he's going through and the things he's putting people through and all of that stuff, right? But I appreciate the time they spent to show us some real love in real life on the screen and made it feel like real life. Anyway, people, enjoyed the Dropout. Go back and find The Inventor and enjoy the Dropout podcast. Get on this Power of the Dog. But I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me on another episode, and we'll see y'all in a week. Take care. Peace.